Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. But let's just wait for a few minutes for other participants to join. We will start the webinar at 12:05. Thank you so much for joining once again. I think we can start now. So, once again, thank you everybody for joining this webinar. I am Poonam and I'm from the marketing team at Lystloc. So another year has come to an end, and from employees to business owners and everybody else, people have their personal goals to achieve for 2025. Keeping that in mind, today our CEO is here to share his insight on a very crucial topic, that is how to track remote employees' productivity. Through this webinar, we hope that each and every participant will benefit and will be able to achieve their 2025 goals. So without any further delay, let me introduce you the founder and CEO of Lystloc, Mr. Bharath Annamalai, who will take it over from here. Over to you, Bharath.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Bharath Annamalai, CEO and founder at listloc.com. Today, the agenda is to talk about remote employees productivity, right? So let's do in this fashion so that for everyone who have joined, will have the maximum takeaway from here, right? Rather than go through slides, I like to keep it the information less and then to have a lot more question and answers. Predominantly, I'm one of the founders who have experienced this shift from on-site versus remote. So I'll be able to explain what is that we went through and how this helped, right? So let's go in that fashion. Let's go. Yeah. So why businesses prefer remote work, right? The biggest key benefits and advantages would be significant cost savings. The amount of cost that it saves is huge when compared to traditional on-site setup, and access to a larger talent pool, especially the way the technology has shaped up in past 3 to 4 years. It's not necessarily just you can access the talent pool within India or within your country. You can literally access the talents across the geography and increase productivity and focus, because you don't have to shuffle too many things, that you just have a good setup, remote setup. You can increase your productivity and focus on your work. And from our own experience, what we have seen is higher employee satisfaction and retention, because at the end of the day, what employees would prefer to do, right? They want to do the work, and the work that they enjoy the most. At the same time, that makes a significant difference in whatever that they produce as an output. And if all these conditions are met, they're going to be happy. I understand all other aspects, the salary aspect of it, all those things are there. But predominantly, the study shows that salary is not the only factor that's going to determine employees going to be satisfied and retain within your company. So this gives a higher employee satisfaction and retention in all the studies so far, especially in past 3 to 4 years, right? And this gives increased flexibility for both employees and employees, because you don't have to tie down to one particular location. You can try out different things, because pretty much you are not fixed on one particular location. The importance of tracking, right? When it comes to the word tracking, it's kind of becoming allergic, right? From both employee side as well as employee side. It doesn't have to be, it is not actually. So tracking, predominantly what we are saying, the productivity needs to be tracked, right? We are talking about the productivity, not about a particular individual, because so many times I hear from CXOs that I trust my team, right? The trust is entirely different from your work. The output is being measured, tracked, and so that you improve upon. Let's say you might be having 4-member team or 40 members team or 400 members team or maybe more. There got to be measures in place. so that you track those measures and improve your productivity. Without that, there is no way. If it goes in scale, it is very difficult to measure it and increase your productivity. First thing is, 2 and 3 employees feel they work more productively in a remote setup. There is no debate about this. We all know that. Whether employees want it or not, that is a debate for another day. But from employee standpoint, workforce standpoint, 2 and 3 employees feel they're good and they work productively in their remote setup so that they can take care of their personal affairs as well as the professional setup with equal importance, so that they don't have to compromise each other. And tracking their productivity with the right tools has the following benefits, right? Like build trust and transparency, ensures accountability, optimized use of resources, improves collaboration, easy performance evaluation. The biggest challenge here is we are saying all these 5 metrics as in benefits. But the biggest challenge is if we don't measure all these things, all these 5 metrics going to be a problem for you, right? So that's why it is very important that we track all these metrics so that everybody, the interested parties, are measured properly, evaluated properly, so that when the time comes, the data is there. You don't have to take a decision based on the sentiments, based on face value, but you take decision based on data. And the importance of tracking, again, the challenges in remote productivity tracking, right? What could be the top 6 challenges you could be having? Inaccurate metrics, basically, right? What time the people started work, what time actually they closed the day, and lack of clear goals and visibility. What this means is, especially for example, one of our employees, I've been met for 4 years since the person started with us, right? Imagine if we couldn't meet in person, if we don't establish the clear goals and visibilities, the person might feel, getting lost, or sometimes they feel that, what am I doing, right? And then employees might feel micromanagement if we don't do it clearly, correctly. And being remote, ineffective communication, and balancing results and employee well-being. Sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times I hear is we do not know when the work starts, when the work ends, and then it is one and the same. That is one of the common thing we hear from people who are part of this whole remote setup. And also limited access to collaborative tools. These are the major challenges you would see in remote productivity, right? And solutions. We talked about the challenges. How do we solve the problem? First, we need to know reliable attendance system, so that the first and foremost thing is whether the person started the work or not, so that we don't have to nudge them, have you started or not started? Because if it is an on-site, when the person stepped in, the person started the work. But in remote, how would you make sure that? So an reliable attendance system that tracks hours, breaks, and time zones, different time zones, and ensures transparency and accountability, and provides accurate monitoring. This comes very handy in terms of performance evaluation, salary processing, and whatnot. Then the next important thing is real-time work updates, live task progress, and project tracking. We are talking this remote work as a broader spectrum, right? Not necessarily just an IT workforce, or bigger, broader work spectrum we are talking. So you need to know in real time what is happening with the workforce. The live task progress and project tracking, and seamless communication across time zones. This is a very crucial one, because you might not be in the same time zone, but still you would want to know what has happened without asking the team, without too much, back and forth messages or any sort of a medium. And you want it to be quick, informed decision making before you do something, rather than assuming something. And second thing, any product, any company, what is the most important thing you would be doing? Performing some task, right? We have workforce, somebody is working from workforce standpoint. At the end of the day, we need to perform some task. The task may vary, but it is a task. We need to have a place, a centralized assignments and progress tracking, because the centralized assignments is one key aspect of it. Because when assignments are assigned in silos, as a different managers or a different entity within the company, it will be very difficult who's assigning what to a particular team or a particular individual. So you need a centralized assignment place. And from there, you need to tracking that progress. And it should be the prioritization and collaboration should be easy, because when multiple people are there and especially they are working in remote, it can get messy very easily within a minutes, right? So that is where you need a platform, you need something, a tool that this prioritization and collaboration should become easy, not necessarily that it creates more problem for us. And then from customer standpoint, your customer standpoint, you're having people, but they are performing their tasks. It needs to be timely and high quality task completion. It's not necessarily just you're completing it, but it is very important that the involved parties get to know about it is the task is done and in a right time, in a timely manner. So the next important thing is the top three, whatever we have seen is more on a tactical thing, on a particular, your operational wise, right? But you need to have automated reports and analytics so that what has happened in a particular day, what has happened in a particular week or a particular month or last 6 months or last 1 year or maybe historically last 3 years, so that you need to have that data so that you produce insights and do analytics out of it. Okay, last year, how many, same employee count, 100 employees. Last year, we performed 3,000 tasks, but this year we performed only 2,500. It's straight up, it's a red alert. It's the same thing, nothing has changed. Why 500 tasks has dropped? It's going to have a direct impact on your revenue no matter what. It's, we don't need any crazy computation to let us say that okay, the revenue is going to drop because of it, unless your invoice size is increased. But in general, it's a problem. So you need to have an automated reports and analytics with whatever the data has been generated from your attendance, from your real-time work updates, from your comprehensive task management. All these modules have created data, but you need to be having insights out of it so that you can act upon. Now, finally, for any workforce, for any employer, what's an ultimate thing? The time is being sold and it has to be compensated with money, right? And how do we do it in a right, fair manner? From above data points, metrics, we collected the data and we know as a matter of fact, this has exactly happened, this has not exactly happened, not necessarily an assumption. It is backed by data, and then the payroll is done. Basically, the workforce getting paid on a monthly basis or twice in a month, right? Depends on the country. So it's an easy integration needs to be there from whatever the tool that we are using to your payroll integration, because most of our customers we talk, if the systems are silos, it's going to be a nightmare process to reconcile between the attendance, the number of hours they logged in, and the number of kilometers that they've traveled to their salary. It's a nightmare if it is not integrated properly. So these are the solutions needs to be in place if we consider remote work or remote productivity, right? And helpful tools that we use or the prominent companies that use for collaboration, quick chats, video calls, we use Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. For project management tools, Asana, Zoho products, and a few other tools. For time tracking, Time Doctor, Toggle, and a few other products. When it comes to productivity, right, tools for a remote work, there are a few tools which is basically screen monitoring tools, which is Active Track and Time Doctor. But for on-field monitoring tools, right, when it comes to on-field, your team is on-field, one of the prominent tools in the market is, we could probably say Lystloc is right up there. We help, our customer base, how we effectively manage our on-field productivity. And finally, it's an important slide. How we streamline our remote work, right? With, Lystloc's smart features. Not necessarily this is Lystloc's smart feature. In general, I strongly believe, having seen the way remote work has evolved on field workforce productivity has evolved in, especially in the post-COVID era, I strongly believe that there got to be five things. Number one, we need to know when the person has started work. It goes the other side as well, the workforce, right? It is very important when they start the work. Then the organization or the operationally, the team or the managers should know what is happening on field, because you can't be with each and every person who's on field. So it is very important that the organizations get real-time updates. What has happened? The task is completed or in progress. The customer has to come back or not. When they ask to come back, the real-time update. So that this is very key for productivity. For whatever the reason the customer asks to come back later, the employee is sitting idle, then you can reassign another task in the same location. Otherwise, that time is wasted. Then geo-based task allocation, right? That is what I touched upon a bit, where you assign the task based on geolocation so that the workforce is there in that particular place, not anywhere else, so that you avoid wasting time, fuel, your reputation, so many things. And then the customizable reports, the data that you take actions based on how did we perform on the first three. Then finally, all these things have happened. Then it's time for to pay or monetary side of it. Seamless payroll processing. It got to be seamless. How many kilometers they traveled, how many hours they worked, so that there is no friction, right? Because there are very limited applications in the world that gives kilometer that the employees have traveled all the way seamlessly integrated to the payroll, right? Because you need to be tracking the kilometers that's been traveled in work capacity for that particular individual. So these are the five things we focus, or any on-field productivity or remote productivity software should focus on, in my opinion. And from Lystloc standpoint, we are pretty strong on this one. We focused from day one. This is our 8th year. We focused on these five aspects, and we listened to our customers, right? All of the bells and whistles, the features that we built over the past 8 years, we listened to our customers. What is the pain point that they went through, and how do we solve within our platform? And this is pretty much on Lystloc standpoint. Lystloc provides the best remote employee productivity solution that helps both employees and management to work efficiently. It is not the one-way traffic. One of the important aspects we try to do is how we can help both sides of the spectrum, right? It cannot be a one-way traffic. We help the organization employees. At the same time, it should be helpful for employees as well, because sometimes for employees, the more work they do or a lot of work they do, it goes unnoticed, unattended. But now it is backed with a tool like Lystlog. There's no way that can go unnoticed. The data is there. How many tasks the particular person performed, how many kilometers he might have traveled. How many times we heard that one particular employee says that I have traveled the most than anybody else in the company, but there is no recognition. But now a tool like Lystlog, you can't say that. You can establish that I've traveled the most in the company. At the same time, employees using Lystlog can save the time, from status update calls, manual reporting. You spend 1 hour at the end of the day. You don't have to do anything. All those time is given back to you or to the organization, right? Uh, it's at the same time, management can check all employees' data with the Lystlog app and focus more on bringing customers to the business. For any company, what's a goal? Bring more customers, bring more revenue. I don't think anybody else. Otherwise, it's some trust, right? It is all boils down to the revenue point of it. So this helps. And I like to conclude this. These are all the challenges and productivity hacks that we could do. Now, I like to hear from you, a lot of participants, and thank you so much for being, present earlier, much earlier. I really do appreciate. I'd like to hear from you. What are the challenges that you face, and any sort of questions? I'm pretty open. I'll take any sort of questions, and those question and answers, I strongly believe that will benefit the others as well.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Silva Kumar.
Hi.
Actually, we are a healthcare segment. We are a marketing team. We are from Oro Lab, which is a manufacturing unit, and then we are marketing to across India as well as across world. So we have a field force across pan India. So we are using Salesforce as a software for CRM. All activities we are capturing through that. But we have one limitation is that we are for expense processing, we are unable to track how much kilometers they are traveling. So the expenses has to be generated based on the how much kilometers they traveled each day. So I it's quite interesting when you say that we have the live location tracking and how much kilometers they travel. Is it possible to incorporate that in Salesforce, or it should be a separate thing?
Yeah. Hi, Selvakumar. Thank you. It's right on money, right? This is one of the things I mentioned. Not many apps in the world that can do the kilometers tracking as well as it's integrated right up all the way within Lystloc as well as outside. It is quite possible within Lystloc because that is one of the things one of the very key features of Lystloc, right? Because the moment an employee started their day, the hour starts basically, and the route that they have traveled, how many kilometers that they have traveled, we have the data set, and we have a reimbursement module within Listlock. You can do all your reimbursement module within Listlock without any other app in place. But for whatever reason you are using an app like Salesforce, we can do integration as well. So it's a very tight integration that for a particular company, particular employee, this is what on a particular day, this is the kilometers traveled, and the data can be integrated to any other platform.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I saw one more question. Let me read it. I'm Paul from Ghana. During my test case, the facial recognition app was not smart enough to check in and out. How is it now? How improved is it now? Paul, I'm not sure you're talking about our ListFace app. If that is the case, a ListFace app is meant for just an attendance standpoint, right? The use case for ListFace is entirely different. We built it for mostly on-field, any construction workers or any sort of companies wants and facial recognition. That is a standalone application which basically logs in and logs out for a particular day. Not necessarily that is built in with handling the humongous tasks that or features that we have built in Listlock. It is not the same. A ListFace app is very stripped down version of Listlock. It focuses predominantly on facial recognition, attendance, login and log out, not necessarily check in and check out. For a check in and check out, you might have to use Listlock. It's two different applications. Hope that answers your question. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a very interesting. So like similar face issue, twins, right? We face this issue. This is an ongoing issue, not necessarily with just list face. We have a fine-tuned our solution to track the similar phases as well, right? Very initial days, let me be very open about it. The very first few days when we developed ListFace API, it let the sisters, lookalike sisters, forget about the twins, the sisters with 3 years difference, that it said that it's the same person. Then we had to improve from there. We went through rigorous test cases. Uh, uh, for twins, we did our testing as well, or use case as well. But again, it depends on how identical the twins are, right? If it is something like, the movies they show it in the movie Genes, it's very difficult probably at this point in time. But we try to improve ourselves, right? We try to improve the algorithm in such a way that it still detects. And when you use the application, if that is a problem, please write to us. It is a different degree that we can configure the algorithm. It's going to be better. But the thing is, the more stringent parameters we give to the algorithm, it's gonna the chances of it's rejecting the face is more. So that is one of the risks we are running into. It's just that we need to train the model a lot more with twins, so that basically the AI models, or the more data we give, the better it's going to perform. So it's a work in progress, I would say, Saran, on that particular aspect. Anyone else who faced a challenge in on field or a remote work setup? Um, I like to hear the challenges standpoint, because especially me, I was running my team remotely for past 12 years. uh, I've had my own share of problems, and that is how, or that is also one of the reasons why we built Listloc. Uh, so, any challenges that you face today, please feel free to share. All right. Okay. I think no other questions, and the time is up as well. I'll give back the time for all of you folks, and thank you so much for attending this one. I really do appreciate from Listlock standpoint, from all of the listeners. And you have a fantastic day, rest of the day, and for the week. We'll talk again in some other time, and we will send out the notes and the materials. How what is that we discussed here. And if it is of any help, that would be, we would be very glad to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bharat, for sharing such valuable insights. I will drop our email here. So if anybody has any question further, they can just reach us out via this mail. Yes. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. We hope that you have a great year ahead. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful new year. It's just another 11 days, 12 days away. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye.